Yeah.
And then it's just, Hunger Games trying to find a parking spot.
Oh, I'm
that's
sure.
still there.
I'm sure.
All right. We are live.
Do you expect anyone to be joining us?
No.
Okay. All right, then, let me call to order the January 29 meeting of the Frostburg City Board of Elections at 4:31 p.m. We will start with the roll call.
Chair O'Rourke,
Present.
Bradley Brandon,
Present.
Tom Bowler.
Present.
Members present. We have no visitors with us this afternoon. Old business, city code and charter amendments.
So from our last meeting, I wasn't sure if anybody had any questions about what we've gone over when it comes to the actual code and charter. I can pull them up if we need to, but I wasn't sure from our previous, if there's anything major that stuck out. I know that there were some things that we wanted to follow up on when it came to the ethics forum and some other things like that.
Did anyone run into any other issues? I know that we all indicated that we had reviewed them before our last meeting. But anybody come up with anything on re-review?
Okay, excellent.
All right, excellent. Let us move then to new business. Review of candidate disclosure forms.
So in your packet is the form, we talked about this last time, everybody wanted to look at what it consisted of. So the form is the first packet, and behind it is an ordinance, in case you're curious of what the rules are for filling it out. It's pretty extensive as far as that goes. But the primary purpose of it is for candidates to disclose if they have any sort of business with the city. And this is the same form that elected officials fill out and senior staff fill out as well. So if you have a property or a business that may be involved with city in some fashion or another, you've received gifts or something from individuals that the city does business with, if you are involved in other offices or boards that may cause a conflict. Just because those things exist doesn't mean that somebody would be disqualified from being a candidate. It just means that the Ethics Commission would review it to see if they see if it does actually cause a conflict of interest or something that needs to be addressed.
Who is the Ethics Commission? Is that a set board or?
Yes, and so we actually have a dual pull out with them right now to set a meeting, hopefully in a week or two. But it consists of, I believe it's 5 individuals.
Okay.
Um,
Appointed by the mayor and council?
Yes. I believe Jesse Ketterman is on it, as well as a few other individuals from the local area. But Jesse's the one that would probably stick out as the most to be known. They're going to meet in a couple weeks. I'll let you know when that meeting is, in case you want to either come or watch the live stream. If there's any questions you have for them and you can't make it, please let me know, and I'll make sure I pass it on to them and get some answers. We did have a candidate that had a question about this form, and as far as how it was filled out and things like that.
All right. Does anybody have any questions or comments or concerns about the forms that we were provided to review?
I do not.
Looks good to me.
I concur. Thank you for sharing that with us. All right, in the absence of any concerns, we'll move to the next item. Review of the 2024 election planning materials.
So that red binder right there, I wanted to give you all some time to just kind of thumb through it. If at any point you want to come in and actually take a longer look at it and anything like that, feel free. But it has all the items that were basically involved with the election last year. So everything from the forms that were filled out for the ballot box when they were counted, some of the marketing materials and things like that. So. white binder that only has a few pages in it is this year's that we're starting. So.
Okay. Why don't we start with, you take a look at that
Thank you.
one.
You have to remind me, are all positions open for election or re-election
Yes,
at the same time?
all at the same time.
Okay, that's what I
Every
thought.
2 years, all positions. The election is a nonpartisan election, so if anybody identifies as a party or anything like that, it's not included on the ballot or anything of the sort. And our commissioners are not at large in the way a lot of other places do it, like they are specifically for an area.
Sorry about that.
And this schedule you sent to us, correct?
Yeah, it's also in the back in front of you as well, yeah. That's last year's,
Right.
basically the same schedule, just updating dates.
So basically, this is the start.
The start of that, yes.
Okay.
And I will say so far, we've had 2 individuals turn in paperwork. They still have plenty of time to do so, so I didn't expect them all right away. So far, it is someone that is currently serving on the council and then a new individual, so that there is at least a chance of a consistent election. I know in the past, I think the most we've ever had positions we've had contested, at least that I can remember, is 2 at a time. So most of the time, it's not a whole lot of individuals. But last year's election, because the mayor position was contested, was one of the higher turnouts we've had in a long time.
Excuse me. Thank you so much.
The old one. Do you have any comments or questions, Tom, since you've seen both of them? they didn't, to your knowledge, run into any issues that we should be aware of last year or last cycle?
The biggest issue that they ran into was because of the turnout, was the time it took for counting. So I'm still getting some clarification on what the issues are that they really ran into. From what it sounded like initially, was the way that counting has to happen is we count all the ballots that are received, make sure there's an official count, because we will take them out of the oath envelopes, so that the actual ballots aren't tied to an individual. So when you see who voted for what, it's not tied to a name. And so they had to count those, and then once those are all counted, then they get separated out and counted again. And then you go into actual like marking of everything. So it wound up taking a pretty significant amount of time because of just the amount of ballot. Last year they didn't originally have extra individuals set to help. So once they realized the amount that were coming in, they started pulling some staff members and things like that to assist with it. It was overseen by the board. So if we think we're going to be in that position again, I think we'll just make sure that we prepare for that ahead of time, set some times aside for that. You'll notice on the timeline, it'll say on June 3rd through Thursday, June 4th, it says canvass.
Right.
10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll resume the next day as necessary. That's just kind of the standard practice. We have to let people know 24 hours before we're canvassing, so we just basically say every day till it's done.
And that's because they
That's how the
open
right
process and we can have observers
Yes.
present.
Yeah, so the candidates could come in, the public could come in and watch the process if they want to. And I do think that a couple of the candidates normally do come in and hang out while it happens and things like that. So, but so basically what it is we'll have that canvassing concept pre-scheduled, and it'll basically be every day until it's done counting, so that we don't have to wait a day between counting and stuff like that. But as far as
Those
the
timeframes are, especially the second and right after the election day, is some time that we should mark off on our calendars now.
Yeah, so that, we'll talk about that here in a second. There'll be a couple of days leading up to that, when, if the ballot box gets full or anything like that, individuals will come in, some of the, board will come in to, sign off and seal the box, and we'll lock it away, just to ensure that it's not been, tampered with or anything like that.
And that's over in the police.
Yes, the ballot box is there, yes. And that way it's accessible 24/7. People can come vote for you if they want to, which is nice. In case you're up and about and thinking about it. So.
Brad, you've seen both. Do you have any questions or comments?
No questions, no comments right now.
Neither do I. Okay, seeing that, let us move on to review of the timeline and record BOE member involvement.
So one of the questions that you all had at the last meeting was when you need to be around for things, what kind of involvement there is. So there will be a couple of key things that have to happen along the way for the timeline. So between now and really, April sometime, it's relatively slow. We can meet as you all want to kind of become more familiar with things and that type of thing. But once once March 20th hits and all the candidates' forms are in, you'll have to review all of them, and you all will approve the ballot itself. So what names are going to be on it, what candidates are officially approved. The Ethics Commission at that time, during that time, will also approve the disclosure forms to make sure that those are good to go. So once those are done and we feel everything's in, you all will sign off on the ballot that'll wind up being printed and sent out to everybody. So we'll have to meet sometime in that time frame shortly after March 20th. After that,
Let me just point out at this point, I will be out of town the 19th to the 23rd of March.
Well, and that may work out perfectly, because we'll look at seeing if we can have the election commission meet shortly after the 20th, and then we'll see if we can meet the day you get back, if that works out.
20th is a Friday, and I'm returning on Monday. So,
Yeah, so that,
okay, good.
so yeah, the elections commission would have to look through everything first. We can get some things to them ahead of time, but I'm sure there's a chance that there would be one or two that get submitted at the last couple days. But so that'll be the big one. Then once elections actually open up and ballots can start to be put into the ballot box, as you can imagine, at first there won't be a whole lot that are turned in. But if at any point the ballot box gets full, or we can talk about maybe coming up with a little bit of a schedule to have some people come in to empty it, lock up the ballots, and those types of things if it gets to that point.
The Ethics Commission will have vetted the applications before we see them or after we see them?
You can see them before. We can, when we meet on, well, anytime you want to, you can see them really, but they will have to vet them before we can put them onto the ballot.
So when we meet, let's just, for the sake of argument, say we would meet on March 24th, they will have cleared the Ethics Commission already.
That is the goal, yes.
Okay.
When I meet with the Ethics Commission in our upcoming meeting, we're going to talk about setting a date for them to review all of
Okay.
them.
I just wanted to see if we were going to be sending it to them or they to us.
A little bit of both. So we will send them the packets that we have so that they can review the forms, and they will then tell us if they've been approved as is.
Do we need any board involvement when the applications come in for candidacy? Or is that just a pro forma staff function that you can handle?
That's a pro forma staff function. So
Excellent.
we do have, on the candidate form, we'll have a staff member sign off that it was received, and they also take the $10 payment, and then it comes to me and I hold on to those. So,
Yes, I noticed the signatures there.
yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, so that process isn't as big of a deal. The one thing would be, and what I need to confirm with the Ethics Commission is, if there is any issues with the form, how they go through that process. Like if they need clarification on something, or I don't know if there'd be a delay in anything as far as that goes. But I'll know that in about a week or two.
We have a respectable window of opportunity for our review and completion of the ballots, the ballot format. So that's fine.
And then if we could look at having individuals available starting June 3rd for, I believe last year, it basically took through Friday to get everything done for the initial set of ballots. And then having people available on the 12th, because that would be any mail-in ballots that could be still lingering. Would have to be in by the 12th for us to have them received as well. So.
Okay.
So, on election day the 2nd, are there any particular responsibilities that we have then?
So there are two things for that day. One, having somebody that's not necessarily here but around in case the ballot box gets full, because that's the day most people will be turning in, would be important. But one of the things that hasn't necessarily happened in the past that the Board of Elections suggested, and it wouldn't necessarily need to be one of you, but I think it would be ideal, was to have somebody on site to help anybody that may need assistance with ballots. So because once we moved away from the actual election day where we kind of did it normally and moved to this ballot concept, it took away some of the assistance for if there's individuals that have trouble reading or for writing and things like that. So having somebody available to help with that would be ideal.
And would that be in this space?
We could either set it up in this space, or we could put a table in the lobby over at the police station. There's a conference room right behind where the ballot box would be.
That might make more sense.
Yeah, so utilizing that. I don't know that there was a need for it last year, at least nobody indicated that somebody came and requested that, but we also didn't promote it because it wasn't happening, so it's something that we could put out ahead of time for for those that may need assistance.
Okay. We can talk about that, see what we can do. In terms of schedule, what time does the ballot open?
So it
Election
will-
day, it doesn't really matter, does it, because it's, what time?
So the ballot box will officially become available starting April 28th, 8 a.m. And stay open 24/7. Then election day itself is technically 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. But it will be, the ballot box will still be available before that. Because once it opens, it stays open until it closes.
Would it be appropriate to identify maybe a couple of blocks of time that we signal that assistance will be available?
Yeah, we could do that as well, yeah.
I mean, rather than
The whole day.
sitting there the entire day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, it's something that, if you all come up with the process for it, it doesn't, again, it wouldn't necessarily need to be one of you all either. So
Right.
it could be, once we figure out what that assistant looks like, and how we would, if somebody helps with the ballot, how they identify that they helped with it, those types of things. We could just, we can implement it with staff members or volunteers or some other things too. But yeah, I think that'd be appropriate, to do it maybe a morning and an evening and middle of the day kind of concept. And then the big thing will be is on the 12th, when the mail-in ballots come in, everything needs to be officially counted then and turned in by midnight that day. So that is the last day. So if for some reason everybody decides to mail in the ballot instead of drop it off, that will be a very busy day.
Okay. Between, let's just say Friday, the 5th, what we're talking about here, we're talking about June,
So,
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
yeah,
We should be prepared to have flexible schedules for ballot counting.
to the best of your ability.
And then between the 5th and the 12th, the 12th is our closing date. Should we set dates like we will meet on the 9th, maybe the 10th, to collect the mail-in ballots from the 8th and 9th, and then again on the 12th, or something like that?
So, from my understanding, the amount of ballots that come in after the actual election was relatively small.
Okay.
And then actually, I think if you look at, in that red binder, when they have the ballot counts, they have the initial counts, and then they have so Friday they announced the preliminary results, and it said that they were waiting on the final mail ballots. And I don't think it was a whole lot of them.
Maybe
So-
40?
Yeah. So my thought would be is we could do a check-in maybe a couple of days. So maybe on like you said, the 9th or something, see how many have come in, and if for some reason it's 100 or 120, we can announce that we're going to do a count on the 11th as well. So everybody has 24 hours so we can get it out. So I think it's appropriate.
Sounds reasonable.
I believe it might be the very front page, or right under the front page is
Yes, official.
and so there's one of them is a canvassing form. And like I said, I don't remember it being a significant amount of ballots. One of the things, part of it is we do send the ballots with a stamped envelope. So most people, when they come in, if they're gonna mail it in, they do it while they have it. They don't like wait necessarily for election day to do so. Like I said, I don't expect a lot of them to come in much.
Okay. I think that's reasonable. We can establish thumb that we will check in. Tuesday the 9th. See if we need to have a count session on Wednesday.
Like I said, as long as we give 24-hour notice to the public that we're going to be doing canvassing,
Okay.
that's all we need. So.
Yeah, we could meet our 24-hour notice by making a decision around 11 in the morning.
Yeah, then we'd have a half day we could add a half day to it. Or really we could do, we did you could do the afternoon of the 10th and the 11th if really needed.
And that way, if we get overwhelmed, we could count Wednesday afternoon and then have just the stragglers for Friday. All right, that's tentatively agreeable.
Yep.
Okay. Is that going to be a logistical problem? For example, they come, you get them in the mail, and then you seal them somewhere?
Well, they come sealed, so
No, when they are delivered, when they get mailed in, after the 2nd, what happens to them?
it's my understanding that the staff will put them into the ballot box still.
Okay, so-
It just won't be open to the public at that point, like they'll be locked away.
So we will be able to, there won't be any problem with us opening it on the 9th to count.
No.
Okay.
Now, anytime things are open, there's a form and all your signatures will be on it and things like that. So it's always double or triple verified.
All right.
And the dissemination of the results, is it posted in the lobby of the city hall? Is
We,
it
we
done
put,
electronically also?
it'll also be sent to the press as well. But it'll be posted in a handful of different places.
Okay. Let me ask you about the critical process of canvassing the ballots. How about, instead of me speculating, tell me what we actually do.
So all ballots must be returned in the oath envelopes that is signed. So the initial thing will be that we will count all those envelopes while they're sealed, make sure they have signatures on it, and get an official count of how many ballots were submitted in the section that we're doing. So
And we check that against our voter rolls.
was the who's on it? Yes, that'll get checked against the registered voter list. Yeah.
Okay.
Based on the who signed the front.
And then there's a form that we then fill out with that information.
Yes, and then there will be any ballots that are questionable or things like that will be put aside for you all to review against, the voter roll and all that kind of thing. But
Okay, so when the ballot comes in, somebody will check the signature and the written name and check out the ballot, or we do that?
no, not when it comes in. That's part of the counting process. So when it comes in, it's just going in a box. No one here will really see it or mess with it. If it's mailed in, it'll be placed in a locked area, but they won't open an envelope. They won't compare it, anything like that.
So on the 3rd, when we show up, we
Yes.
will have a stack of envelopes.
Yes, potentially a very large stack. So the way it happened, from my understanding last year, it started with initially just the first count of how many envelopes that had signatures on them there were. So physically knowing how many envelopes were turned in. After that, go through and compare it to the voting list and how many envelopes actually had registered voters, or if any didn't have a proper signature, those kind of things. So we're always working off of that initial first count of, we have this many ballots. Then once we have the stack of all the approved official ballots, we then take them all out of the envelopes. The envelopes get put aside so they're not matched to the way somebody voted. And then those are counted to make sure that we have the actual same number of ballots as we just did with the envelopes. And then once that's the case, we'll go through and actually tally up who they voted for. Which again, because it's a paper ballot, is a little time consuming as well. And then we have to make note of any sort of ballots that were not able to be counted and the reason why. But so we'll wind up counting the envelopes, the ballots, and those that voted at least 3 times, almost every time we do it. So it is a process. And anytime there's a count, there's got to be something that verifies the count as well. So, and assuming that they're the same number, we won't have to do it 3 times or 4 times.
Now, we counted the envelopes. We have gone through and checked the signatures, the names against the list. We've removed the ballots from the envelopes. How do we go about tally? Do we go through the pile of ballots for mayor? And then go back and go through for treasurer? And then go back and go through? Or do we open each ballot and go, 1 check for Mayor Smith, 1 check for candidate blah, 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 blah. How many times are we flipping through each ballot? Once per election or once for the whole?
That I will have to check in on how they did that. So if you look in the standard operating procedures, it was in the pack I gave you today. And we're going to go through this a little later, but if you go to the back, like 2 pages, it has a canvassing worksheet to give you an idea. So number of ballots returned by mail, the control form, but so that's the first set of numbers, which is basically counting the actual ballots, right? So the ones accepted with the overvote, any that were rejected. So this will be that form that we use for that. If you look on the next page, or the back page, I guess it's the final page, official results are that way. I will have to see if they have a special form that they use for that, because that part I actually do know. But we can look into
There are advantages and disadvantages of each approach.
to both, yes.
These are the results forms for the permanent record.
Yes.
And,
But I thought I did see a form at one point of really counted. But that I will look into.
Okay, that will affect. But also influence our decisions about what sort of veracity measures we're going to incorporate. Seek information about what they did, and we will discuss what we want to do. But that was one thing that struck me when you originally told us about the process.
Yeah, and like I said, last year was definitely one of the, I think, first years in a while that that canvassing took a lot longer than they had expected. But we also had a really great turnout, so.
So, we are still on the timeline. So we've had the election, and we have, I guess we're up to Friday the 12th of June. Certify the results. Okay. Questions or comments, additional questions or comments on the timeline and our required involvement?
Nope.
All good.
We have a rough idea. We just get a little clarification about the mechanics of that day, and then we're good to go. Let's move on then to the ballot mailing company in process.
So, I just wanted to show you all, and this is in the, operating room as well, but, we, have a company that we utilize to, prepare all the ballots. So we will get a list, of registered voters, from the county, that we compare against our, records of property owners and things like that, making sure that the list that they gave us are actually individuals inside city limits, those types of things. And then we'll have you all verify that list, and that will be the list that we compare names to, the official registered voters.
Now, Patrick, just a question about that. There are areas that I don't consider, that have a Frostburg, Maryland
Address.
address and a 21532 zip code,
That are
but
not city
they are in
business.
Eckert, for example.
Or
Yes.
You know, so how is that residency defined?
So, my understanding, and I need to work with the Board of Elections on this, but they have an actual, listing of addresses that are in Frostburg. So it's not just based off of like the post office or the zip code or anything like that. But that's also why we double check some things and make sure that, what they're sending us is appropriate. One of the things, that I learned, with this position, which I didn't realize is, any of the addresses that have, 5 digits, so 10, 201, whatever street, are not City of Frostburg, addresses.
Meaning, if the
Like that
street address, the
The house
number, house number.
is a 5-digit, it's not City of Frostburg. Yeah, City of Frostburg has smaller numbers, so that's one of the easiest ways to go. Yeah, no, I
That's
didn't know
helpful.
either. It's
Well,
a
we
great-
learned
it's a great
something.
way to-
Yes, we did.
But no, so we'll compare that against that, and then additionally, there is a form, that people can register to vote with the city, but not be registered to vote with the county or the state. So normally when you register to vote, you're registering for all levels, like the one. If for some reason somebody doesn't want to be registered to vote, with the state, they can register just with the city. There's a form here that they'd have to fill out that we go through and approve, but they can technically do that. Not
And
necessarily sure the reasoning for it, but you are allowed to.
the city exclusive list, who verifies that? Us or somebody else?
We would verify that they are able to be registered voters if they're inside the city.
Okay. Presumably that would be relatively easy, but we would actually need pretty good map.
Oh, and we have that.
Good.
Yeah. No, and then there's actually some pretty neat systems when it comes to GPS and things like that that can identify what houses are inside city limits.
I'm old.
Yeah.
GPS, what is that?
Our planner has all that
Give me
squared
a
away.
map with a pin in it.
We have those too. So.
Okay, good. Additional questions, comments?
But so, once they give us that list, we will send the ballot that you all approve, for printing, as well as that list to this company, and they will mail everything out for us. So everybody will get it, from this company, and then, they will either mail it in or drop it off. But so the company will put together the oath, envelope, the envelope with the stamp on it to return it, the whole 9 yards all goes to this vendor.
And generally speaking, that's a mass mailing that is done at one time. But there could be some situations that we become aware of following that mass mailing, where we will be giving them maybe an additional address or whatever to mail a ballot out.
So if for some reason somebody doesn't get a ballot, either because potentially their address may not have been on the list, or more likely somebody got a ballot and lost it, or those types of things, this company will send us extra ballots and we have a form that you have to fill out if you come in and need a ballot.
Okay.
So you have to declare that you've lost one, or you're not submitting a second one. The ballots are numbered, from what I understand, to make sure that we can track those types of things when we need to. But
So it's not subsequent mailings from the vendor?
no, at that point you have to come into City Hall
Got it.
and request one. And which you can do on election day as well.
Alright. Other questions or comments about the company and process for mailing the ballots? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to standard operating procedures.
So this is the current standard operating procedures for elections based off of last year. You all are welcome to make changes to this. So the approval doesn't need to happen today. So the process of approval is starting. So this is what was set up for last year and was officially approved, I think, in April of the election. So if there is anything you want to add to this, it could be, clarifying what we were talking about with canvassing, or anything else. If we wanted to add a section about having someone, available day of election and those types of things, that is for you all to decide and add to this as appropriate, as long as it fits within, what the city code and rules and regulations are. I know that in the last meeting we had talked a little bit about kind of going off of what they did last year, because everybody's new to this, but if there are things that are glaring that need to be changed, or things we've talked about when it comes to voting, or canvassing, this can absolutely be adjusted as you see fit. So, I don't know if it's something you want to talk about now, if everybody wants to review it for a little bit, maybe we can talk about it more, later, but the goal would be by the end of March, beginning of April, that you all finalize this, just so everybody's understanding of, what the process is.
I'll tell you what, I will entertain a motion to table the standard operating procedures discussion until we've had a chance to review it more closely.
So moved.
Okay, so second?
Yes, second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous approval, we will take this up at our next meeting. I'm sure the bulk of it, at the very least, will be acceptable to us, but it's a bit much to digest all at one sitting, so. Marketing.
So in front of you there are a handful of just flyers that have been used in the past, updated for this year. Some of them are announcements for Facebook, some are just directional signage. As we get closer, we can, if there's anything you think that needs to be added, one of the big ones that I know was added last year, and I don't think is on this, was a sign on the little box where you can deposit your payments for bills that says, "This is not the ballot drop box." Because we did have some people put things in there. The individual that collects those bills in the morning, if they know if they find a ballot in there, they just immediately go put it right in the ballot drop box. We got cameras outside, things like that. Yes. But a big sign that says "Not here."
Easily confused.
Yeah. And then, I don't know if it was in that, we do have, was there a white page in there too that just had?
No.
Okay.
mean, this, I had 3 multicolors.
Okay, all right, so, that might have got left on the print, my apologies. There's also, a little slip that we will put in with the, water bills, about the election that goes out. I think it's actually listed on the timeline, what month that goes out.
Yes, it is, I saw it. March.
Yes, so it's a March water bill. Because we used to do water bills, every 3 months. Now that they are monthly, if that is something that you all want to change and have it be in April because it's a little bit closer, or even the beginning of May because it's a June election. The reason they were done in March was because if they did it any later, it would be after the election. So that is something that we can adjust if you think it would be better to do it a little bit
Or
closer.
a couple of those months. I mean,
Yeah, we can change it, yeah.
I would be very much in favor of moving it closer to the election. I mean, they will get the ballot mailed to them, but I can honestly say, I always have to go look up when big trash day is, even though it's on my water bill, and all the rest of that stuff, so. The last 2 water bills before, would
So-
that be bad?
I have to see if we can do both, make sure that there's not something else that's going out.
That's
but
true.
We could definitely do at least one, but, so, ballot mailing dates are between April 28th and May 8th, so is it something that you'd want to put in the April one, so that people know it's coming? And then, if we can put it again in the May one?
That would be excellent.
sounds great.
Agreeable?
Agree.
I think that would be a wonderful idea.
Just where was it? Computer shut down.
All right. I have no comments on the exhibits we got for marketing.
And the big thing will be, as we kind of move along, if there's anything else you think that we should be marketing, or other things you want to see posted. Most of these are for online, Facebook and Instagram and things like that. We will have some things posted here, in front of City Hall. But if there's anywhere else that you think we should put something, if you think we should have a banner somewhere in town, or anything like that, we can
Maybe something at the post office.
post those.
I mean, I think to engage businesses, I see some potential issues with that. But a place like the post office, and maybe the library.
Yep.
Two places that are frequented by a number of residents, obviously.
And neutral areas as well.
Yeah. I don't want to entertain, well, they put the information, in a certain spot, and I
Right.
I can
Business
avoid that.
preferences, yeah, exactly. Unless we make them all do it. One thing about informational sharing would be if we want to do a voter registration event.
Mhm.
Generally, I'm in favor of voter registration, promotion, but on this scale, I wonder if it would be worth the effort involved. What are our voter rolls? Well, we had 1,300 voters, so we have more than 1,300.
The
Yeah,
estimate is 4,000 ballots right now. Did I read that
Yep.
somewhere?
yeah, and that would include, some coming to us as well, so,
Population of Frostburg, the last time I looked, was approximately 10,000.
I think 10,000 if you include the university. I think the long-term residents are closer to 7.
At any rate, I would take half of those out for underage. So we're looking at a target group of about 5,000. I'm just throwing information out there. And if we were to do it, what would it look like?
Good question.
In person, digital media, physical mail.
My immediate thought would be, if we decided to do something like that in person and digital, I think, because we would hit two different audiences by doing that.
Right.
Makes sense.
I would agree.
So if I do some reverse math.
What was our voter turnout?
32.7% last time.
1,300, is that the right neighborhood for number of votes counted?
So it was, the person that got the most votes, was 1,072, but if I remember correctly, it was a little over 1,100 that actually cast votes. Not everybody votes for everybody. But so
Yeah,
that,
and each of the mayoral candidates had 600 and some, right?
actually, yeah, so what's that, 1296 between the two? So yeah, so it's closer to 1,300. So if you take 1,300 divided by 0.227, it was just under 3,975 is the rough estimate of how many registered voters got a ballot mail. Assuming that the voter turnout percentage is correct on last year's results.
32.7 is what the official results. There is no actual total count here. Interesting. It must be on, it is somewhere, but not on this form.
Yeah, it would be on the form that had, that one form that's on the back of
Right.
this. It is the,
On this one.
yeah, the canvassing worksheet. There's a
Uh-huh.
canvassing worksheet in there.
I can find it. I can find the one we have in front of us, but I can't find it
In there.
in this. Here. Which one do you want us to do it?
So at the number 14 on the canvassing worksheet, it says total valid ballots cast. But again, that's not how many, it would still be closer to just under 4,000 people that would get ballots.
Hi. 4,000 get,
And I can look at the,
I can't do internet access here, so if you could figure out,
I'll look at the actual list of the, who got ballots last year, to see what that number is from last year, just to give us a better idea.
population, your rough estimate, whatever our population is, standard practice is to take half off for juveniles.
Total valid ballots cast was 1,276.
Okay. How'd you find that so quick? How'd you find that so quickly? Well, now it's obvious as you pointed to me. All right, so let's consider a voter registration event or activities for our next meeting as well.
Is there, one of the things I would think about in thinking about planning that is if there's some event that would be happening that would have people at it already. I don't know that people would come out to a voter event, but doing it at anything from a farmer's market or a, Derby Day would be a great one, but, it'd be after,
Absolutely.
it'd be after this election. I'll look around to see if there's any big city events that are happening, before then.
Makes a lot of sense.
Piggybacking
The other
off of
thing, I
somebody
don't know
else's.
if there are some best practices out there in terms of cities that have high voter turnouts and what practices they've engaged in to achieve that. If you know, in all your spare time,
I was gonna say-
perhaps you guys want to look into that.
Honestly, of all the things that I'd probably be good at looking into, that's one of them. So, I know the higher education best practices. I'm sure some of them overlap a little bit with the city, so I can reach out to some people.
Okay.
You've got some experience in that.
Yes.
Other comments or questions? All right, so we will continue discussion of voter registration events next time we meet. This moves us up to the approval of forms and documentation.
So, in the back of the standard operating procedures are those handful of forms. Again, nothing that needs approved now, just something that will need approved is finalizing those. And if there are any additional forms that you feel we need, so if we want to create an official form for tallying, if I don't already have one, then I will look for that for our next meeting. Or if there's anything else that you want to make sure that we have as far as documentation goes. I have a handful of other forms I'll send you all as well, with an official, like, appendices of forms together for me.
Well, I think we can table this approval like we did the overall standard operating procedures because this is part of,
I agree. Keep that
so
as a
moved.
local package. Moved, seconded.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous approval. General discussion. That's
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Just having it all.
Luckily, my predecessor got it all together, so it'll make it a lot easier.
Anything come up
That
since you
helps.
put this together that you want us to consider?
No, I don't think so, not for now. The big question is there any, questions you all have, anything you need clarification on that I can look into? Any information you'd like to just have? I know, population and, voter lists.
Yep. Mechanics of the day. And we can definitely, if they don't have it, generate count sheets. That's,
Now, there's reference to canvassing taking place in room 100. Is that, that's where I thought.
Yeah, so
Didn't
there's,
look at a room number if I can do it.
I don't know that it actually has one on the outside, but if this is considered 100, the one upstairs is considered 200. So it'll be here so that people can watch. And I need to look into it. Maybe also be something that we live stream. I'm not sure if they've done that in the past, but at the very least, people will be invited to watch it.
And I'm assuming that that will be at a distance.
Yes, yeah, they can't touch. Yeah, so
We're
I
not
don't.
looking over our shoulders.
No, it's mainly to make sure that we're not sending fire to ballots.
there's any pockets of
Yeah.
power.
And I'll look into getting some stanchions or something so that it's officially
Just as
separated.
a point of curiosity, do we have an operating budget?
Yes. I want to say it's $15,000, but I'll look into it. A good bit of that is the vendor for mailing everything.
Just thinking about
But yes,
if we do an in-person event, having a budget for it would be useful.
well, and again, that's the initial
How's
concept
your
of
cookie making
budget for the
skills?
election.
My daughter.
If you have an idea or something that you think would be appropriate, we can look into finding some additional funds for it. So,
Well, I think piggybacking off of somebody else's event, I mean, putting a table at the farmer's market, seriously, put a plate of cookies out, give a cookie away with a flyer, and you'll actually get people to come up to your table.
well, and
Something like that.
we can, if it's a big enough event, we can invite the Board of Elections out to do paper ballots or paper registrations. If you do paper registrations, we have individuals trained and some things like that. There are some groups that are already pre-trained to do so. But giving people information about the State of Maryland website where you can register to vote online, anybody can hand out as long as we're not telling them
Right.
the process. You need to be trained for that, but that should be pretty straightforward. For some of the older individuals or non-tech savvy individuals, it's nice to have the paper version for a bigger event at least.
I'd be curious. I would imagine we have somewhere where we could see our voter turnout in the past percentage. I would be curious to see what we maybe did differently if
Yeah, so
numbers were higher then.
I can actually, I'll throw this up here. So this was 2020. This was the first year that everything went, I'm doing this via my email, so it's not easy to do. This was the first year that they did the mail-in. So of the votes cast, 93% were by mail. For 2020, not very surprising. Registered voters was 4,026.
900 something, is that what it is?
Yeah, and because that year wasn't contested, I would imagine that's relatively accurate to the amount of ballots that were actually submitted. And then, let me, I don't know why this one's blue. My computer's doing something weird, but we're gonna roll with it. I don't know why this is coming in blue, but
Oh, that's nice.
so this is 2022. So it's 32.8% turnout. 2024 was 32.7. So relatively.
Essentially, so.
Yeah. And this was one of the ones where there's two different seats that were contested, which is part of the reason there was probably a pretty good turnout.
Is that 12 down the bottom there? 1,200 ballots, is that what I'm saying?
This right here.
Yeah.
No, that was just who voted for Commissioner Forsyth.
Oh, got it.
So this one doesn't show the full
Okay.
amount of ballots, but about 66% were done by the cast by mail, which I think is a more standard concept when we're out of COVID.
Yeah.
So, and even then, I imagine a good, at least 80% of them were probably turned in well before the election. So,
Okay.
yeah. And then 2024 was the numbers we were looking at in the bottom right. So.
All right, questions? Further comments, general discussions?
And actually, there you go. Forgot I put this together for someone else. So, those were valid ballots cast versus registered voters for this year's. So, the most recent one was 4,349.
Okay. That would be,
And that was based on the list that was sent in. So, of those 4,349, I'm not sure how many may have been pulled off the list. Because if the county had some extra people on the list, they sent in. Somebody had asked a question about what was given to us by the county, so I put that together for them.
great. Okay.
Excellent.
All right, so we, board members, need to review the standard operating procedures and give consideration to what, if any, types of
Voter registration.
voter registration events we'd like to pursue. And I suppose we need to set up our next meeting. Patrick has got pretty much everything in line, so it's not imperative that we meet next week. Personally, I like to have as many ducks in a row earlier rather than later, so like not waiting until April to do this.
Yeah.
February or early March would be fine by me.
And we will have to meet in late March. Just to put that out there, so if you want to meet one time before then, maybe late February, early March.
What do we do in late March?
Late February.
Candidates, okay.
The late March meeting is
to review the candidates and get it out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it'll probably be March 25th-ish, something around there.
Let's shoot for February sometime then, how's that?
Third week. Would,
Third week in February?
yeah.
1, 2, 3, that would put us at the 19th.
And Brad, this time frame works.
This is great for me. Yep. It's good for me.
Thursday also is good?
Yep.
Thursday good, 4:30, the 19th of February? Patrick?
Yep.
I'm good.
And actually, let me just check. And this room's available as well.
All right, we get our forms pinned down, voter registration decided. We will be sitting pretty until we need to, I guess, create the ballot. And
In the election.
then,
Excellent. And I will send you some updates as forms come in, especially if we start getting like a large amount of candidates, anything out of the ordinary. Just so that we're aware of it. If we start getting 3 or 4 people interested in positions, we might need to squeeze another meeting, talk about what that'll mean for votes that are coming in and that type of thing. So, and I have this room officially booked for that as well.
all right, anything else for the good of the order? Seeing nothing, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Without objection,
Stop.
we are in adjournment then at 5:38.